So we've gone through virtual and we've gone through cloud, and so now let's kind of put all this together, right? So here's a high-level picture of a MapReduce virtual cluster. And it should look very similar to a physical cluster, but the fact is now I'm actually running on virtual machines. So in this example, I'm using Hadoop. It's pretty obviously pretty industry standard MapReduce framework. And with this now, I can actually look at things like testing algorithms and testing infrastructures and other system attributes. Back to the map example, like I said now a couple times, is what does my algorithm do in this virtual space? And I can play with parameters. There's tons of parameters and configurations you can do in these in a MapReduce cluster. How much memory should I be putting on my nodes? How many map tasks should I have per node? How does my algorithm perform compared to others, right? So from a very simple example of a MapReduce cluster is we've got an operating system. We saw this before in our machine image, right? In this case, we've got software installed on it called Hadoop. We've got configuration files. We've got configuration files. In this case, that say, who are the slaves, who are the execute nodes that I have in my cluster. And then similarly, then I've got these other nodes that sit in with it. And then I've got configured within there some sort of communication mechanism that one-to-many nodes can communicate with each other, right? So very simple, very high level, starting to take this and say, well, what if I could actually build this in a virtual environment, right? All of a sudden now I can put my algorithms on top of it and test how well do they do or not. So research areas of where this become interesting, right, as you go back and look at bioinformatics. There's people that are doing this work, and I believe one of the topics was yesterday on genomic alignments, right? I can start to actually say, let me take the human genome and spread it across my nodes, and now let me take a reference genome, what you would consider kind of the John Doe genome, and say, how does my genome compare to the John Doe genome, right? Where do I actually have differences in there, and what does that mean for me from a disease perspective, right? Am I going to get Alzheimer's down the road? And what am I more susceptible to because of the differences between me and what's considered this kind of John Doe genome, right? Data and text mining and processing. There's a group out in Maryland that's doing a huge effort in this space, right? And so, and obviously very much in this Google space. Judy's going to talk a little bit more about the Twister framework that's being used here at IU. And so, how can I use large-scale data mining, right? Am I past the point where I could use a database? Am I at petabyte scale that I need to start to rethink how I'm doing problems in data mining? And then large-scale graph algorithms, right? I mean, of course, we've got Google and all the algorithms that they've come out with for doing PageRank and so forth, right? But there's other ones out there, right? When you get into dealing with networks of data and trying to figure out communities within those networks, right? So this may be in like a biological space, maybe protein networks, gene interactions. Maybe I'm just in general looking at, I got a lot of data out here from, Web 2.0 data, whether it's Twitter, Delicious, you name it, right? Kind of these sites. What are we learning about what people are doing right now in the community, right? And how's that evolving? And so if the data is large enough that I actually want to do analysis on that, I may have to be looking at infrastructure and paradigms here that aren't, that are past just working on your local computer. So, I've talked about virtual clusters. Steven's going to take you into a little bit of a sandbox mode. So let me take a step back and let's talk about the sandbox mode again. You saw this slide earlier here in the presentation, right? What exactly is a machine image and this concept that is instantiating something into a virtual machine. VirtualBox is software that you can install, and hopefully you've already downloaded and installed on your computer, that allows you to play with these machine images and play with these virtual machines in an environment that, like I said, you can literally wipe away. So as you dig into it a little bit, and hopefully you get more interested in the software, you can actually clone your machine image, right? So I can clone this image, and I can do work on it. So it becomes a real nice development environment of, hey, I've got a real nice snapshot of things that I want to keep at the moment, and I don't really want to get it too dirty. Well, let me clone it, and then work from there, and figure out what do I want to be doing next, right? So I mean, a lot of us do this in source control and all that stuff as well, right? But I can now play with these machine images in this kind of local mode that allow me then to kind of move my software forward, look at new configurations, do different things in this kind of sandbox mode. So instead of having you guys all build virtual clusters today as an experiment, we thought, well, maybe it's probably more useful for everybody to, one, introduce you to this tool called VirtualBox, provide you with a machine image now that has software that's available for you for the rest of the tutorials for today, and again, get you used to, hey, I can create a machine image on myself, I can play with this, learn a little bit more about this, and kind of move forward with this. So what we've done then is we've taken Hadoop and some other tools and technologies in the Hadoop framework and went ahead and pre-installed them for you on this VirtualBox image. Steven's going to take you through some hands-on stuff specifically with this now, kind of in the second half of our session. But I wanted to at least kind of take you from this high level, I've got thousands of nodes in this virtual cluster, to let's actually get used to playing with Hadoop a little bit in this kind of local sandbox mode, right, from the downloads that we have. So I'll leave it at that. Are there any questions out there that anybody has before we start the hands-on session? Great. Thank you.